it's because people don't understand that I have a transition time. And that transition time means that I'm going to literally do this every second for every minute of the next 20 minutes, constantly just going out and checking out the front, or trying to check my emails to see whether my mum says they're en route, or she's going to be 10 minutes late or an hour late, or um, I don't know, she's not coming. One thing, my mum, I made a vow and a promise to my mum not to talk about her on social media, but to not talk about my mum is really difficult because I've been in the world for so long, really, without being under my mother's wing, so to say. I never left my father and went to my husband, if you know what I mean. So, um, but my mum has said something today which has triggered me off completely. That yet again, where all of this Kelly faking it and all of this comes from in the first place, and it didn't come from social services, it didn't come from school, it didn't come from the doctors. Um, it's always come from my mum. And one thing that I do know as a child, as I was growing up, one thing that I could always know is my mum would turn up at my house in Headley Down at 6 o'clock on a Friday every other weekend, and she would drop me back off at 6 o'clock on a Sunday. And one thing that I knew is she was always there. I don't ever remember my dad ever telling me, "Your mum's sick, she's not coming," or "Mum's it's stuck in traffic, she can't get here." Um, I don't even remember actually being that she used to commute from London and things like that. That he used to say that, she's um, told you that she's not going to be turning up. That's never, ever, ever happened from literally the age of, I don't really remember. I remember four, and the reason that I remember the age four is because I remember my Aunt Melody one day coming to school and bringing me a bike and wanting to pick me up from school and take me home. And I remember being very clear that my dad and my mum, as in my ex stepmum, had made it very clear that I was to get on the school bus. I was never to go home with anyone, and it didn't matter who it was. I was never to do that. So I remember my Aunt Melody getting on the bus with me and coming back home with me, and us meeting her partner there. And I remember very, very clearly the walk that I used to have as a very, very, very young child from my home in Headley Down. And anybody who lived in Heatherlands at the same time as me will know this, because we were out in the sticks in the country and the school bus used to pick us up. And I remember literally being 4, 5, 6, 7, primary school, 8, 9, 10, 11, all the way through to home infants and home junior school. I remember literally every day going down to the bus stop. At the beginning, I used to walk down to um, my nanny Ann's, which was obviously the uncle that used to abuse me there. And I used to either go on the bus from there if my mum and dad went to work really early, or I would literally just walk down from Headley Down. And I even remember my parents going to work and then me going out to school. So I can remember things like that. So for me, life was literally, I lived with my dad and my stepmom in Headley Down. I went to primary school, I went to high school, and every other weekend my mum picked me up from school, up from my home, and I went to my mum's. So it wasn't the other way around. Most people go and see their dad. I went to see my mum. And when you're a child, we don't have mobile phones, we don't have um, all this different communication. Our whole system and strategy and the way that we live is all built around the education system. That makes life very difficult for someone like me because my education is secondary to my health. So my health comes first. Health for me has always come first, and it has to because I live with a condition that means that I have to maintain health. And that's not very easy. And I'm going to talk about how EDS actually does affect me in a full-blown live soon, because, and I'd love to do a proper video with pinging all the things and maybe adding some videos in and really showing how living with a hidden condition and battling with the schemas and belief systems of other people believing you is really hard. And my mum made a comment, and it's not over EDS because it was over Asperger's. And I now have 3 people tell me I am Asperger's, but then I have had 3 people tell me that I'm a narcissist. No, actually, that's not true. I have had one say that I have narcissistic personality comorbid with Asperger's, and I had another one, and borderline personality, and another one say that it was that I had traits of narcissism but not personality, and another one has concluded that all people who are not qualified in Asperger's are wrongfully diagnosing people with narcissistic traits. So therefore, since Aaron and Faith were taken, I have been treated like shit. Like shit from my father, like shit from my mother, like shit from my brothers and sisters, like shit from my family and friends, apart from Melissa, Leanne, Karen, my Aunt Alison, my Uncle Sam. Even my 2 boys treat me differently. And I have been battling with these strangers that come to my door, be them in uniforms as police officers, being with people with tags around their necks, be it people who you're having a baby and stuff. And it's so difficult because you're trying to be you all the time, having to battle with people who are trying to be themselves, battling with people who are, and we live in a whole world that's worried about what everybody thinks all the time, worried about what your mum thinks, what your dad thinks. Like, oh, hang on, we got a car. Seriously, I'm going to be like this until 4:30. And this is why I need people in my life. Like, literally at 4 o'clock, I need my mum to message me to say, hey, we've had a lovely day, we're on our way back. Or, hey, we're really soaking wet, the boys are in the bath, I'm going to give them their tea, might even get their pajamas on and I'll bring back. Or, um, we're just on our way back, or whatever. And then that means then I can then roll into that last half an hour without the boys. And that's just normal. That's just normal stuff. Like, I've just been into the bathroom, and I'd already bleached down everywhere in there. And I thought, oh shit, well, if they're definitely back, so I've literally just been completely just bleaching and mopping down the floor and stuff. And it's like, well, I might have been able to have left it for a bit longer because I didn't want to be running water through. And it's like, but I need that done before the boys come in. And obviously, I've got some painting to do now, and it's like I'm trying to slot in at spaces and times that I can do this. But I've got everybody telling me that I've got to put my children in school. And it's like, all I'm telling people is I'm not denying my children education in any way, shape, or form. Shiloh, sorry, wants to be a doctor. He wants to be a doctor for the London School of Hip Hop. Elijah, wants to go to school at the London School of Hip Hop. This is his creation, his design. Whether he's doing it for his father and his mother or not, I don't know. But this is what he wants. All of my children have my genetic mutation. It doesn't come from me. It's come. My mother has it. Potentially my grandmother has it. Potentially even on my father's side. It affects millions of people within the world. Hypermobility, and then obviously EDS is different. So all these labels and all these diagnoses is nothing more really than understanding a personality and characteristics and traits of a person. We can separate animals so easy, mammals and all the things. You look at a dog, you can tell the difference whether it's a poodle, whether it's a Labrador, whether it's an Alsatian, whether it's a Rottweiler, and we have associations to Rottweilers. Yeah, we look at a Rottweiler, or we think, so when we're thinking of our children and we're thinking what dog, animal to put our children around, straight away, if you were thinking, well, I'm getting a Rottweiler because I want it to protect my children, 100 people could come to you and say, well, that Rottweiler isn't going to protect your children. That Rottweiler is going to rag the neck of that child. They can say that about pit bulls. But what you've got to remember is there is a breed that has been born for fighting. And what these people have done is they have bred these animals to fight. That is not their traits. It is not their character. It is not who that dog is. It is what it has become, because the way that they make them fighters, if you've ever seen any films or unfortunately ever been witness, I've never been in a room, anything like that, but I have watched a really powerful film about it, and I'm very aware that it goes on. In order to get a dog to become a fighter, I'm talking about an animal. I'm talking about a human. I'm talking about an animal. Yeah, in their face. Yeah. And this is what the dog handler does. So you've got a dog down on the floor. Let me get my little dog. Let me get my little thing. Have I got a little dog? Shall I take a nice little cute dog? We got a nice little cute dog here. He's all nice and cute and cuddly, just like us human beings, and shows lots of love and gives lots of loves and kisses. But if you took this dog, no, get out, stay, stay, stay. Don't do that. Not so cuddly and huggly. But if you're going to turn him into a fighter, stay! Eventually, that dog is going to go, yeah? And that's the difference. When you've got children in school, like the two girls that have come to me today, they didn't want to be put into, and it was actually one of the girls and the other girls walked out with her. When I was at school, it was called isolation. I spent a lot of time there. I've been dragged there. I'm so lucky when I was at school I was not diagnosed as autistic, because if I was, these people in these schools, these state people have the power to restrain and detain and sit on and crush and hold down. If all of a sudden this person goes, lights are too bright, flickering, flickering, shine that in your face all day, shine that in your face all day, shine that in your face all day, put the music on, person chattering, chairs grinding, tapping. Then all of a sudden, take Dean for an example. You've got a teacher going, that's what it sounds like to us autistic people, by the way. Clatter, clatter, Mars, Mars, Mars. Now, this is what anxiety is to other people. Anxiety is when somebody is trying to be in the present moment. I've got a car outside, 2 seconds. Next, another car leaving. And whether it's anxiety because I have complex trauma, because I am learning to trust my mum again after being the person that has caused for Aaron and Faith to be taken from me, and also assisting in Elijah being taken from me, and allowing me to be taken from her. More to the point. More to the point. Anxiety is when your belief systems are in two different very places and you're in fight and flight, fear, pain and pleasure. So on one mind, I'm looking forward to seeing my boys. I'm looking forward to even interacting with my mum. I'm even looking forward to hearing about what my boys have been up to. But when I have to listen to my son tell me that his mum is not allowed in his nan's home because she doesn't like him, I don't like this. I don't like this. You don't tell this to my children. My children have got this with their nan and their dad. This is how parent alienation starts. When people start telling the children that their parents are something that they are not. This is how mothers alienate fathers, because they have issues with them as a husband and a partner, but then they portray this on the child when there may not be issues, or there could be, but it's for the father to pick up these pieces. And yes, there are some fathers out there that don't have the school skills and tools to provide in the way that they should. There's a lot of fathers that are leaving mothers on benefits, and it shouldn't be this way. And then mothers are having to work as well as look after the children and be children. And the reason that we put our children into the school system in the first place is because it is childcare. So mothers can go to work. So the state can have two people paying tax, two cars, bigger homes, and more money being driven to the fat cats. Because if you only have the one man going to work with one tax bill, because don't forget, if you're married, your tax bill's slightly different if you're two single people, so they want to make sure you don't get married because your tax bills are higher. Fact. So even with setting up a business, and I think, well, hang on a minute, like I've been talking to the girls today about if they get into smoking, a packet of fags is going to cost them £15 a time. If they got a minimum wage job, they would have to work 4 hours for a packet of fags. And I said, so you're going to have to work 4 hours a day at minimum wage to be able to afford a packet of baccy. So basically, from the moment you get up that morning, your priority is 4 hours minimum wage, or you can think, well, 15 quid, I'm going to be a 15 quid an hour person. Okay, so let's work out based on your basic needs, which is a packet of fags or something at 15 quid. Used to be a fiver, but at 15 quid. So, okay, so you want to be 15 quid an hour. Well, right now I've got one company coming in here. They've got their own van. I could probably give them a free tout, but I don't want to. So, hang on. So, what are they doing? Well, man, people, passion, pride, that's all I can see on the back of it. That is really bad advertising on your van because I can't see what's on it unless I'm stood directly next to it. But I did, and then I saw the word pride. Well, straight away you're gone, mate, because pride was the first sin to be created and the last sin to be beaten. I'm not here to raise anybody up in pride. I'm here to remind people that humble yourself, don't stumble. And also can keep doing this myself every day. Every day I have to work on myself. But I'm aware. And what's annoying is I was watching this social services program the other day, and it was I think it was a Channel 4 film documentary or something like that. And it was really good. It was actually really positive. It showed a parents not working with them and parents working with them. It showed people really hating the social worker at the beginning and really loving them, just like we were with Lauren. You know, me and Dean and Elijah, Lauren was our saving grace. She worked so damn hard to make sure that we were in and out as quick as possible because she went through the paperwork, she saw it, she took the time. And the difference between Lauren is Lauren's priority was to get up every morning and train. That's how I knew she wasn't a mum, because she said, how do you know that? I said, I know you're not a mum. She said, why? I said, because your priority in the morning is to get up and train every morning. I said, that's my priority, but I have to have childcare. I said, so you've either got a really supportive husband that has the children so you can go out and train before work in the morning, or you don't have children. She didn't have children. So for me, my priority in the morning is obviously my children, but it's my health, and it always will be. And it has to be. Because when you bring children into the world, you have to be healthy, wealthy, and thriving, because otherwise you're bringing children into the world below the threshold. And hence you've got social services with children in need, child protection. I was around child protection officer and she went, but Kelly, you're not on child protection. I said, that's not the point. I said, but if I make this wrong move with you guys now, I will slide back to child protection again. And it's like, well, this isn't happening. So I've now got to correct 42 years worth of paperwork, have a judge tell my mum and my dad, my family and my friends and everybody that knows me and the fucking public in my public apology that I live with a complex condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I am on the spectrum of Asperger's, and I would be classed as dyslexic, but I'm very masked as a dyslexic because I've had a mum who is constantly driven to make me feel thick and shameful about my spelling. Why do we call it spelling? Spells. It's linguistics. So why do we call it spelling when we're talking about a Christian and pagan world? Then most people who are diagnosed with us with with anxiety or complex trauma, all we get is mental health. You're mad, you're crazy. Having anxiety is really fucking stressful. It can paralyze you like a rabbit in headlights or a deer in trapped in the lights, and it can stop you functioning every day. Whether your anxiety is you're worried about what people think about you, or you fear success, or you fear rejection, or you fear not being good enough, or whatever it is that's underlying there that's keeping that anxiety going. For me, my anxiety is that my mum doesn't come home with my children. Be it that she crashes a car and I don't get to see my children ever again. Be it that my children say something to her that she doesn't agree with or like, or she doesn't agree or like with my life or anything that I do, or she really wants to hone on to this boy's being registered in school. And I've seen mums do this when they take the decisions from their daughters and they think they can play with the grandchildren. My mum alone could give my children a better fucking education in terms of maths and English and language than any teacher in a school. Fact. If my mum utilised her Thursdays with the boys as a, say, history, or, well, I don't know how she is on her history. Her English, I think she always wanted to go into law, to be honest. I think my mum always wanted to be sort of like a lawyer, but my mum's a writer and she speed reads. My mum can speed read, like my mum can. I always remember she always had a book by the bed, book in the car, book by the bath, book in the toilet. She always had a book on the go. It's always reading, always absorbing knowledge. And no, she didn't get to finish her GCSEs either. So it's like, why should I focus my entire life on an education system that's all focused on the GCSEs that my children might get suspended, kicked out of, moved out of, not get on with somebody in their class, and their entire future is dependent on these people? Like Daniel, my son Daniel, who had his brother and sister taken from him in the first weeks of his GCSEs. Did Flintshire and the social workers even think that Liam was at college in his first year and Daniel was taking his GCSEs? They didn't give a flying fuck. Liam lost his education and his college placement, and then all my family are then having a go at Liam because he might ask for money because he's an adult on an apprenticeship doing hairdressing and barbering and having to pay his own rent and council tax and everything because he's not getting any support. He couldn't get any help with me here, and obviously I'm not in a financial situation to help him at present. See, look what my anxiety's doing. In and out, in and out, in and out, constantly. I really, really just want to go and check, see if I've had an email. Just 2 seconds, guys. Just stay there. Just stay there. See, now I'm stressed. Now I'm not in anxiety. Now I'm stressed because now I've just seen the time and seen that it's actually 6 minutes past the time that my children are meant to be back. I've got so much going on at the moment with what's going on in terms of people not understanding that the gym's not open, the facilities are not open. I've had no text off my mum to say, because I don't even have her number, I don't even have her address. And it's like, I have no email to say she's running late. And it's like, now I stress because it's like, what if she doesn't bring them back? Like, what if she makes the decision to not? So I'm going to stand here now, watching this corner, literally waiting to see my mum's car come round. And if she doesn't come round, be it that she's decided to be some freaking whatever and I'm going to take my kids off and hurt my daughter yet again because I've had a ruckus with her at the car again. And it's like, and now she's late. So now I'm in complete stress and anxiety. And it's like, so then I think, well, what actually, if she doesn't come back, what if she does make the decision? Well, then I'm going to be trolling all over the place. And it's like, I'm then going to be driving off to where I do know she could be. And then it's like, well, what if she's had an accident? What if she's been hit in the car? How do I ring her? How do I find out? How do I confirm if she's late? So now I've got to constantly be checking my emails to see whether or not she's messaged me to say that they are running late. And then she's never been late. This is the thing. Out of all of this time, she's never been late. For some reason, my anxiety was even higher, and I thought, no, I'm going live about how this affects me because, yes, there they are. See? And I shouldn't have to go through this because people don't understand. Aaron and Faith were kidnapped, mate. They were taken. Perjury, lies, defamation from everybody. And I'm just literally on my own with a 15-year-old boy in court with me, my son, who then gets kicked out so I can be gagged. And it's about time that people actually come and ask me, Kelly, how are you? And instead of going, oh, you're mad, you're crazy, you think, actually listen. So I am writing it all out and I am getting it in my book and I am doing it this way because people like Josie, 18-year-olds, are too scared to speak out. Other parents are too scared to speak out. I'm not too scared to speak out. I'm not. Because if I was being raped or if I was in domestic violence, you'd all want me to speak out. You'd all want me to go to the police station and not sit in my home and be all, depressed and suicidal and battling. You'd want to roar, yes, she's made sunset today. Kelly, she's made sunrise today. Fuck's sake, did you see that memory she created today? And you'd be cheering for that and rooting for that, not keep pulling me to dance with the devil. You'd be supporting me from where I am. And if I want my children's health plan to be before their education plan, then I'll beat you all in court. No judge in the Heights won't reject this. There's already a Portsmouth family taking Portsmouth Council for picking on homeschooling families. There should already be a medical support system for people that can't be in and out of the system. We've already proved that you can Zoom. We've already proved that you can learn online. Wasn't doing anything wrong, was I? You all just wasn't educated as I was.